It is March 9th, day two at Daytona Bike Week 2021. Had a great day of ministry today. We started out at my favorite restaurant, C's Waffles, for breakfast. Got a brand new waitress named Lisa. We were able to share the gospel with Lisa and pray for her, which was great. Then we headed up to Destination Daytona, Dennis Rossmeyer's Harley Davidson complex. And as we were getting ready to cross the street, I noticed a Ormond Beach police car parked off to the side, and the police officer was watching, the volunteers directing traffic. And I walked up and introduced myself, told them about my police background, and was able to share the gospel with a police officer named Rob. And he let me lay hands on his shoulder and pray for him, and we had a pretty good conversation for about 20 minutes. Then I walked into the complex, and I was looking for Ron and Charlie, and because I missed them, they kept going. And while I was talking and praying with this guy, and I stopped at the Buell booth because I knew Ron was going to be stopping there, and he wasn't there yet, but I gave him a heads up that this big dude, 6'5" guy, is going to come in and start talking to about a Buell Ulysses. He's my buddy. And it was a young lady in the booth named Maisie, and I was able to talk with her. Turns out she has a Catholic background. I was able to tell her my story, how I got saved, and share the gospel with her and give her a Gospel of John with the plan of salvation in to read, and she let me put my hand on her shoulder and pray for her. Then I continued in, and we walked over to a place where they had food and stuff. Sat down just to take the load off my feet, and a young lady came around, and she was sweeping up just little cigarette butts and stuff with one of those little dustpan things with a handle on it. And she said hi to us, and so I said, "Oh, hi," and I said, "What's your name?" And she said, "My name is Casey." And I said, "So." Tell me about yourself. And she goes, I'm here doing this temporarily. She said, I just got accepted as a job in a school to learn phlebotomy. So I said, so what are you going to be doing? She said, I'll be sticking needles in people. And I said, well, that's really great. And I said, we talked for a while, and it turns out she's like 20 years old. And I said, I've been coming here for 22 years. I said, longer than you've been born. And ended up, she let me pray for her, and she was so grateful that I did that. And I thanked the Lord she was going to be moving from picking up trash in the Rossmeyer's parking lot to sticking needles in people, and she kind of laughed when I was praying that. Let's see, then, what happened then? Then I went over towards the one of the big vendors there, J&P Cycles, and there were two ladies outside that were putting some kind of special leather treatment on boots, and it was free, and so I sat down and I talked to this girl named Raquel, and I asked her what she believed spiritually, and she goes, well, I believe in everything. I said, well, what if you're wrong? And she said, well, that's of concern. And I said, let me tell you my story. I was able to share the gospel with her, and I gave her a I gave her a Second Greatest Lie Ever Told from Mark Cahill, which goes through most of the religions that we have in the United States and what's wrong with them, and how faith in Christ and Christianity is the only way that you're going to ever get to heaven, because Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but through me. And she was very grateful for that. Wrote her a nice note in the front of it. And then I was looking at a tool in the same general area, over at Rossmeyer's. And I heard this guy come up, and he's talking, and he said, yeah, I gotta buy one of these and take it back to New Jersey. And I said, you're from New Jersey? He said, yeah. And I said, where are you from? He said, I'm from Roxbury. Well, I lived in Flanders, right next to Roxbury, for 11 years when I was a police officer. And I said, what'd you do there? And he goes, well, I'm a retired Roxbury police officer. There's the connection. We ended up having a great long conversation. His buddy that was with him is from Hackettstown. We talked about that, and that was a great opportunity as well. And so I prayed for Randy. And then we went over and sat down at a picnic table again to rest, and three different people from Illinois came over. There were two guys and a lady that were together. And we talked about stuff and taxes and how bad it is up there. And it's been snowing every day for like a month, 2 inches, just making it just miserable, 2 inches of snow every day. Ended up giving each of them a Gospel of John and explaining it to them and sharing with them. And then we went out to dinner and got to share the gospel with a guy named Chad and give him a Gospel of John with the plan of salvation, a personal note, so who knows how God will use it. But we so appreciate your prayers. Please keep praying for us. We appreciate prayers for safety, that we'll be faithful with the divine appointments, and that God's Spirit will work in the people's hearts as we share the gospel with them. Thank you again.